What is up, everybody? This is the McAllister's podcast. We're doing another bonus episode for you, the viewer, because today at this point we have hit 450 plus subscribers here on the channel. This is the first of many milestones, I hope, for the growth of the channel. So I thought it would be fun to do a little Q&A session / go through some of the comments, some of the things that people have been saying on the TikTok and the YouTube. There's been several, but I've kind of filtered through the ones that I think are really funny or really, worth some kind of deeper discussion. Kind of a weird little format we're doing it here. Another little tiny bonus episode, but because the last one actually did pretty good, as weird as it got. So I'm here with my coffee, my water, my laptop, and intuition and speaking, which are all the great parts for a podcast. Anyways, so this first question here: what's your favorite color? A simple one. It's something that I have not really talked about in the podcast, really, because my answer is black. And the reason it's black is for a couple reasons. Because it's Black History Month, and it's the color of my heart. Also green. You're in a burning building. Who do you save? Your dog or an autistic kid you don't even know? The dog. Fuck the retarded autistic kid. What? He's gonna make another Microsoft or another Facebook? We're going to have another evil tyrant running the streets? Or you can save your fucking dog. Yeah, fuck the autistic kid. He's probably having a blast. He's probably fucking tripping his balls off. Whenever Fantasyland is going, he's like, ooh, the flames. He thinks he's in a video game. He's playing fucking lava on his couch. And fires erupt around him. He doesn't even notice the difference. See, I love this one because I'm able to shit my own people. This is maybe the kid crosses the line of it not being that anymore, but who knows? Who knows? Guys, we're still figuring out how to do the podcast without alcohol. It's been a challenge. Hell yeah, those are all the questions I got because I suck at posting online. So we're gonna go through some of these comments. And this first one is probably my favorite comment I've ever received. I decided to take out all the names from all these, just for, I don't know, discretion or whatever. But this first one, the man who posted this he's in a construction uniform with a hard hat and everything. And I'm looking further at his picture, and he looks like older. I thought he was a younger guy, but he's like 50. And this guy commented, the guy talking will never attain anything great. Which I thought there was just some irony in that. It's like, okay, buddy. Not shitting on people who do construction work, but for you to have the audacity to like be a cog in the machine, be like, yeah, I'm fucking... Like, when I'm fucking cleaning houses, I'm not taking a picture of myself, like, with a fucking feather duster and being like, hey, you pursuing your goal, you will never achieve anything. I don't know. Legalize all drugs. Regulate them like all their pharmaceuticals. That eliminates 90% of the problem there. A lot of the ravers I know growing up were straight edge, and even they agreed that clean drugs would help so many people. This is probably in response to one of the various times we talk about drug legalization. I agree with most of this. Definitely legalize all drugs. I do not agree with regulation, just because I believe in a free market, and I understand the reasoning behind regulation. What's going to happen to fentanyl? But I think if you find that if you have everything open, that's going to be dramatically reduced. Also, I think testing will could advance and become more marketable. That could be a very feasible way to have a market for that, or have some kind of safety net. Yeah, I mean, clean drugs would alleviate everything, right? I mean, if you had clean drugs and people were educated, then you wouldn't have these problems of people just overdosing, people not knowing what drugs to combine, or getting something that has a combination of fentanyl or whatever else that is, causing people to overdose and die or whatever. Here we go. So this is from a former guest on the show, who I included this because this man is. I really do hope that he's doing better. But from the last I knew, he was a raging alcoholic. So for him to comment this is pretty funny. A lot of your guests are very disturbed. I mean, come on, man. Why scrape the bottom of the barrel? It's just ironic to get that from him. I don't really have any. This is a man who woke up drinking. I'm sorry, but if you wake up drinking, you have a problem. I don't shun people for consuming alcohol, but as a general rule of thumb, my personal view, I'm willing to say that if you wake up drinking, you have a problem, and you have no right to shit on anyone talking about DMT or whatever they're fucking doing. Because, I mean, look, if anyone's gonna come at that angle, you better be fucking clean, sober, or not into and not into like any fucking crazy sex bullshit or whatever. You better not be into any of that shit if you're gonna come at anybody for their drug use. I mean, come on, man. I mean, look, you could be clean of drugs, but if you're fucking a kid in the altar, then you're not there, man. You're not there. I bet you there's so many viewers and podcasts. They said podcast, but I assume they meant S. Who's like this that discusses grammar, please. Basic ideas that you learn to understand at a much deeper level with a liberal arts understanding. Let me just read that again. I bet you there's so many viewers and podcasters who's like this, who are and podcasts who are like this, that discusses basic ideas that you learn to understand at a much deeper level with a liberal arts understanding. So just take that first part. Someone who is arguing, saying that people with a college degree are better, who writes a sentence that is riddled with like 5 errors. 5 outstanding grammatical errors that you literally, like, some of these it's the people, it's them insulting me for my intelligence, but I can't even get through their sentence because I can't even understand it because they have so many errors. I'm like, what the fuck are you trying to say? So they learn to understand that you learn to understand at a much deeper level with a liberal arts understanding, yet shit on a college education while sitting around a table having a kindergarten version of a convo instead. I don't think a college education is really a good deterrent for intelligence, as we can see with this example and countless others of people who have invaded companies, etc. A lot of them do not possess a quote-unquote college degree. I actually find that a lot of people who get college degrees end up becoming a part of the system more so than leading it. I think it's also an incorrect assumption to say that someone who has a degree is automatically better than the other. I think there's different types of intelligence, and I also think that there's a very good argument for the education system just being much lighter as a whole. And a lot of that's just due to, where the financial incentive is. When you have things like the internet competing with a modern day education, they're going to inflate the grades, the ease of it, to keep their amount of money. that they need. Yeah, I mean, cool. Cool, man. This is in response to one of the clips we talked about sex or sex workers or something. I don't know. Obviously. And this person said, we're better than workers, we're owners. Laughing emoji. Sex work is a mating behavior. Human beings are animals all through the animal kingdom. Birds and monkeys trade food and resources in exchange for sex. This is before the capitalist system. So, first off, they're trading food and resources in exchange for something. That is capitalism. You can argue whether it's currency or not, but currency is just an exchange. It's just a standard for an exchange of goods and services. Instead of like doing something for someone, be like, hey, you have to feed me, or I have to give you something, etc. They just have figured out currency and they're like, okay, I'll pay you this amount of dollars. They can then use to go to other businesses, etc., etc. So that is flawed in itself. It has an evolutionary intention, and that intention is to have the potential mother have access to resources. So I don't think that sex work is work. It is a mating behavior, so it can't be privately owned by a company. It belongs to the people, not to the oligarchs. So no, I don't want to be part of the capitalist system of labor, exploitation, wage theft, corporate crime. It's all trickology. It's all about media framing ideas and information. That's why the 1% has most of the resources and less poor people are dumb. So I didn't actually look at this person's profile. I didn't link it. This one's an obvious example of why you wouldn't do that. Because, at the end of the day, it's just high, what, like, quote unquote grifting, etc. Getting your name on there, which is fine. I'm not even against that, but I'm just, on this show, we're not going to do that. I mean, I don't have anything against anybody doing sex work, but you have to, it's still work. You're going to come at like capitalism being like exploitative. That's by far one of the most exploitative examples of capitalism. Having like, there's no like set standard for sex or pornography or anything. You look at the wide range, you look at the women, doing $5 a month OnlyFans where it's everything. And then you look at the woman doing $30 a month OnlyFans, and that's like fucking feet pics or whatever. And then you have charges and charges upon that. You have like the pornography industry, which is like one of the most, profitable industries in the world. So, I get the whole argument where it's like, it's for the people. But like, it just doesn't, like, women aren't going to give that sex out for nothing. Some are, sure. There's some women who are going to have the urge to do that, but like women just aren't going to act the same as men in that regard. That's just biology. That's just science, on average. So the idea that women are just going to have sex for no either relationship or monetary or whatever gain, like that, that's just that just doesn't go with what, if you're going to exchange something, that's a capitalist society. My brain just hurt thinking about this. That's the thing. I'm like, some of these posts have like 5 different things, and I'm trying to break down. Okay, this is in response to the infamous. I know some of these are kind of old, but like they've built up. I haven't really I've been saving them, etc. So this is in response to Lolo's segregation tirade, in which he was arguing that segregation in cities could work potentially, which I disagree with. And I don't know how serious he is on that, because this is a comedy show, but it was a funny tirade. But anyways, this response, I actually agree. Segregation would have worked if it was actually equal. They gave us the broke, ugly, nasty, rundown stuff. So I think the important thing and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with or maybe we weren't talking about this, but we generally talk about it anyways. Like with libertarianism, is like I believe in the right for businesses to segregate, even if it's for something outrageous or egregious or whatever. Because again, this just is relying on the principle that the free market determines the true voice of the people. And I've gone to this example numerous times, talking about like, how if Walmart wanted to segregate against a certain race, like how many people would outspeak at that. And, I've argued with Jason Bennell. That's right. Jason about this, and we kind of had a debate about this whole proposition of that. But I mean, look at it this way: like, do you think it's wrong for there to be like an all female black girls college, all female black college? Like, I don't think that's wrong. I don't see anything at face value wrong with that. Now, I mean, look, if you have like your white nationalist shit who are doing violent things, I mean, if there's violence involved, and that's a separate thing they have to address. It doesn't necessarily the same as like having a business say, no blacks allowed or whatever, or no X group allowed. You look at the cake factory is a perfect example. There was the cake factory that didn't want to do the gay wedding cake. And what happened? They went out of business, and that was like as it should have. But that's a perfect example. People don't want to talk about that ever. Liberals. No. Everybody clicked off. Okay. Just wanted to let y'all know not everyone needs to start a podcast. Wrong. I disagree. Everybody should start a podcast. I 100% recommend it. Yes, there's so many. But when you realize how easy it is to get up to the top, 5-10% of podcasts ever made, because people just don't go through it, and the amount of things that you will learn about yourself, even if it's not something that you do forever, even if you do it for like a year or two, like the amount that you will, amount of things that you'll achieve from that is great. So fuck this guy. Yes, everyone should start a podcast. I highly recommend that. Actually, even if it's dumb, like the whole mental exercise of like going through and accomplishing something like that and learning all the technology like that, those are skills that will help you forever, regardless of what your industry, what you do. I 100% believe that. Okay, I can support a lot of the statements and ideas Republicans have, but I can't vote for them because of some of their core platform positions. Yeah, welcome to, if that's how you feel, then check out the Libertarian Party, because a lot of people in the Libertarian Party feel the same way. That is kind of how I felt. I never voted Democrat, but I always begrudgingly voted Republican, and there's still times I begrudgingly vote Republican. But I mean, that just speaks to the nature of it. I had this, kind of going to the religious thing a little bit. I had this argument with Jason about the political stuff and how that, kind of the dichotomy between politics and religion and how that maybe plays an effect and everything. It's interesting. The whole arm the teachers argument seems more like a Band-Aid on a foot-long laceration. Okay, I said that weird. Seems more like a Band-Aid on a foot-long laceration that won't stop bleeding. It hasn't stopped for hours. I don't really understand what they're trying to say with that analogy. It just seems random and weird. It sounds like a 12-year-old saw this video and was like, I can't imagine my teacher having a firearm and just like decided to shoot on me. I will say something that I think relying on a police department to drive to where this situation is happening, wait however long, or take little action or make reckless action, uneducated action for however long, while this situation is arriving, versus having armed security or your educators who are there ready to go when someone brings out a gun and is about to harm other people. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna call something a band-aid on foot laceration, or a band-aid on a foot-long laceration that won't stop bleeding, that's the police system, 100%. Yeah, I don't understand that correlation, but cool. How are you gonna bring on two random guests that aren't involved in hip hop whatsoever to get their 2 cents on hip hop? That's just retarded, because these people are involved in hip hop. I think what he means is like, why am I interviewing people who are not on the top tier of it? And frankly, first of all, I think it's ridiculous to think that I'm able to secure something like that. Let's be real. And secondly, I don't really care about that. That hasn't really been the focus of the show. I'm interviewing people who are local. I'm interested in things that are local, that are happening here in Des Moines, Iowa, and the Midwest as a whole. So I'm not really focused on trying to get interviews like Logic or whatever. I mean, look, if one of them hits up my inbox, I'll fucking do it. But I'm not going to put energy and time into that for obvious reasons. He says like a lot. Now, this is 100% true. This is something that I consecutively see when I'm editing, and consecutively try to put into my mind to stop saying like, because I say it all the fucking time. I've said that since I was a kid. I've had people tell me my whole life, stop saying like, and then like I just keep like doing it like, and it's awful. And I really am trying. I've really thought about like doing the whole Chris Martinson thing, where I do like a speech coach or something and really work through the word like, just to not say like. Should I just start drinking again? Be like, every time I say like, be like every time I say like. I'm a fucking idiot. Okay. This seems like such a toxic and shitty podcasting environment. You are right, my friend. Socialism is not based on government. It's based on shifting the means of production from the private sector, where it's used for profit. Oh, shit. Where it's used for profit, to the public sector, where people are actually paid what they're put into working. How do you do that? How do you execute that? What is the force that executes a business, taking the power from a business, shifting the means of production from the private sector to the public sector? The public sector is government. However you want to word that, however you want to phrase it, is government 100%. It's the only way to manage it is through a government. So by definition, you're going to have to use government to bring it to government. I mean, whether it's a group of people acting in interest of that or whatever, it's still a government in form. It's still belief in that system. This over-encompassing, we're going to obey type of system that socialism is. Basically, there are two answers when there's a power structure that needs to be dismantled. There's two ways to go about it. There's the free market, where you're dealing with a business that has an oversupply of goods, and you as a people can speak out against that, or find another route of consumption, or you institute a government, which takes money from people and ruins people's livelihoods and does what it wants in the quote unquote interest of the people. That is what it is, 100%. Is that all I have on that? Okay. So I have a couple more. These are fun. I have a couple more. I put them into categories. So these next couple are about everything with like the atheism and the Crusades. Because basically every time I put out a clip about the Christians, people got mad, because Christians get mad and people talk bad about the Christians, especially where we're in the Midwest. People get mad. People get mad about their God. I should just have like the painting of Trump in the thumbnail. Just two Trump paintings. Okay. It was not the Christians who ran the Crusades. Oh, I love this. The Crusades were where the funny thing is, like, the anti or the religious ones are the worst grammatically. It was not the Christians who ran the Crusades. The Crusades were run by the Catholics, and it is the Catholics that killed millions of people. This is uneducated. This is his. This is his. This is how uneducated you are. This is the dumbest argument, and like 10 people made this argument to me. Yes, Catholics and Christians are the same thing. They come from the same belief cycle system. They are categorized in the same hierarchical category of religion. It's like the people who say, like, oh, well, Mormons aren't Christians. Like, yes, they're fucking Christians. They believe in the same sect of religion as you, henceforth they come under the same umbrella. And however much you want to oppose of your fundamental viewpoints, that is a part of it. So you can't just the people who say, like, oh, Catholics aren't Christians. Yes, they are. The same as Mormons are Christians and Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians. They all fall under this same umbrella, where they believe that there is a virgin who has son, who's Jesus Christ, etc., etc., etc. And all of these related biblical texts are in some form or another, scrutinized or have different origins, etc. Jesus Christ. This is how uneducated you are. Christians were persecuted and killed all the time for their faith in Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus. Good old Jesus. Their faith in Jesus Christ and not following the Catholic Church. Please get your facts straight. I haven't looked up the number of how many Christians have been killed for Jesus, but I would be shocked to see it be as many as 5 million. And also, if that's the case, that isn't the same thing. That isn't the same thing as a religion going into another part of the country and enforcing their beliefs on somebody, and in other words, just slaughtering them, versus a squabble in an inner religious circle. I don't think those two equate at all. Christians, followers of Jesus Christ, are love. Jesus said to love your enemies, feed them, clothe them. His top commands are love thy God with all your heart, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, man, look, I get it. I get the whole, like, Christians are about love and all that. And, going back to the episode with Jason, me and him had this disagreement. I don't think necessarily that if you're a Christian that you're, a bad person. I think maybe a lot of people who are Christian and religious aren't educated and maybe just lack that perspective. I think a lot of people put blinders on because it's an uncomfortable topic. It's an uncomfortable topic to be like, hey, maybe I don't believe this. Maybe there is an afterlife. Maybe all this is bullshit. Those are, I understand why people don't want to have those thoughts. It's for a lot of people, it's just not convenient, or it's something that they have been raised in their whole life. And that's, that's a tough thing to grapple with. So I don't look, if you are, I think what Jason put this way is like, people are better than their religion's allowed in the beat. I think that's a fair justification. I think there are people who act better than, where a lot of these, the top, the institutions of these churches go. This was just funny. Again, about the Crusades. It was our cup. Shouldn't have messed with it. Bodies wouldn't have had to drop. It was funny. Very few people are... Okay, so this... Okay. That's in the wrong folder. I often hear from my atheist friends the argument that you don't need God to distinguish right from wrong. However, it seems to me that to them, it doesn't matter if the Republicans, conservatives are morally in the right. They will be opposed regardless, simply because of where they perceive God to be, even if they claim not to believe in him. This is a fair point. I mean, well, okay, so so I agree with the last part. I agree with the last part of that. And this is a point that I disagreed with Jason on. Is there does seem to be a correlation where there will be most atheists will just subscribe left wing. Talking about the recent. I'm trying to figure out a way to just phrase it without getting censored, but the tragedy that happened at the beginning of this decade. I think a lot of people just seem to, like, when I've gone in the groups, they just seem to kind of align that way. A very basic, inline way of thinking with that. So yeah, I think that is a problem. I do think that they kind of, a majority of atheists do lack that nuance, that maybe won't explore, won't even think about voting for somebody that's Republican, or maybe even like think about going to the Libertarian Party because they are so rigid in that they will go Democrat every time. I think, I think it's something that, when you look at like who's going to win the election this coming year, I think it will probably be the Democrats, because Democrats seem to just align with whoever will get them to win. That just seems to be how it is. And Republicans are split. They're split between Trump and DeSantis and all that. So it's a dichotomy. Now, excuse me, this coffee's killing me. This first part, I often hear from my atheist friends the argument that you don't need God to distinguish right from wrong. Yeah, I agree with that, because I always make the argument, if somebody walks into this room right now and shoots me, or goes into a mall, or goes into a building, whatever religious or non-religious or political institution, and kills a bunch of people, everybody knows that is wrong, whether you like to acknowledge it or not. I think there's an innate understanding of human beings and innate morality that when you cross that line of taking someone's life, that is incorrect. I think there's a very, very small amount of people maybe who do not understand that, but a majority of people are going to understand that. That's just how it is. I'm having a hard time breathing. I think I eat too much shit. I think I eat too much crap, and it just sits in my stomach, and then my lungs are just getting smaller, or I'm just smoking too much. I don't know. It's funny, people can see atheists are repelled by religion even though they don't believe it. They don't believe in it. That's a sign it's real, not the opposite. Just saying. Are there any of the other things that people don't believe in but are repelled by it anyway? Does being repelled by something mean you have to believe in it some way? To an extent, yes. Okay, so there are a couple different things here. So yes, atheists are repelled by religion, and it's not because it is real, it's because it captivates people to a point where they are willing to do awful things. Willing to discriminate against people based on their skin color or sexual orientation or whatever. The fact that they are willing to just blindly be violent to people in the name of their belief. I think that is the reason why atheists are so repelled by it. They see the negative in it. It's not that it's not real. The scary thing is that it's not real. That's why it's such a that's why it's something that repels atheists. Because that is almost, it's not almost, it is scarier in my mind. You look at all the atrocities of religion across the world. That's terrifying. Hell yeah. Are there any of the other things that people don't believe in but are repelled by anyway? I don't even understand what he's asking. People don't believe in but are repelled by it anyways. That would just be religion in general. Look at racism. People don't believe in the ideology of racism. They think that racism is bullshit, but they're so fucking terrified of it because it can sometimes lead people to be violent. That's a stupid question. Sorry, man. This is why I cut the names out. I think that's the last one of that. Okay, so that's the last religious one. I just thought that was funny. I think that argument's hilarious. All right, this last one. This is all about the episode with Rick. The first time we had Rick on, where we just talked about libertarian stuff, and then one of the clips that really triggered people was talking about minimum wage and talking about how that would maybe be better if we didn't have that. So this is one comment. Very few people are actually worth less than $15 an hour. That's essentially 2 meals per hour. The wage is essential, in my opinion. A big part of the problem of probably every single person that commented on this is that they are thinking of everything in terms of the normal dollar amount, and they're willing to recognize the fact that the reason that the dollar amount is like it is because of government, because of inflation. When you have these arbitrary numbers, they don't mean shit 10, 20 years down the road or however long down the road, because inflation keeps ticking everything up. I mean, $15 an hour 50 years ago would have been insane. I remember my father worked at McDonald's for $2.50 an hour, and that was minimum wage, but that was actually a somewhat affordable minimum wage compared to $7.50. So I mean, to say like, yeah, that's 2 meals an hour. Well, first of all, it's not 2 meals an hour. That's 2 like going to McDonald's or whatever meals an hour. If you're just going home and eating rice and beans, that's like that's technically meals for the whole week. Obviously, that's not a ideal way to live, but it's just I'm just illustrating that's an accurate calculation. Yeah, and I mean, look, I think we kind of can go into this in the next in a different post later, but like the whole idea of what people are worth is definitely something that you can calculate based on skill set or what they're going to bring. People are assets, and people think that sounds like objectifying or bad, but it's really not. Like, if you have an organization and someone's good for you, that's like a positive asset. That's not something to scorn about. Old people need to stop voicing their old people opinions. No, fuck you, guy sitting there eating watermelon. You look like you're 12. They need to hear their ideas probably more than yours. We don't suppress free speech on this platform. Completely ignoring the idea of inflation in the housing market. The argument is flat and ignorant. Why is there inflation in the housing market? Because of government. Because of government. Why is there a minimum wage? Because of government. You can't put a number on what someone is worth. Yes, you can. You can put Elon Musk above a fast food worker. Someone who cannot operate at a higher level than that. You can definitely put a higher dollar amount on Elon Musk versus that person. One has, despite, whatever, capital he already has, he has the ability to create businesses and to create technologies and to do all these things versus the fast food worker who just takes orders, doesn't necessarily have ingenuity or creates things, just kind of as part of the mog, the clog of the wheel. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that person, but to say that person is worth the same as Elon Musk is a ridiculous proposition. And I think when you have this socialist mindset where people are thinking that is the case, it's a dangerous slope. It's a dangerous slippery slope in the least. This sounds like a great argument, but you need to account for the fact that profits aren't appropriately shared. The playing field needs leveling. So how you counter that is with the free market. If you're working at a job and let's say you're like engineers or something, and you create a product and you look at the contract or whatever, and you're like, hey, I don't think this is enough money. you have the option to leave that company, which is, maybe not quote unquote fair, but I think that is a better system than having a government come in and say, we'll have insurance or blah, 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 or whatever, these requirements that people get their quote unquote money with these arbitrary dollar amounts that become meaningless over time. The more governments intervene and the more inflation there's in the market. So yeah, say that the playing field needs leveling. I feel like that's implying government, which I just don't agree with. I think the way to do that is people saying, hey, this is too expensive or whatever. That's everything. That's the whole fucking, that went longer than I thought it would. A lot longer than I thought it would. That was it. That wasn't all the comments, but like I said, those are the ones that seemed interesting and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed me going through some of this and celebrating 250 subs. This is fucking awesome, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a pat on the back for being there, for hitting that button, coming here every week, and watching the videos, watching the episodes, or if you're going on Spotify or whatever. I appreciate all of you. Guys, go check out our website, BecauseStars.com. Go check out our Patreon, where you can find exclusive content from behind the scenes episodes there. I have a bunch of Patreon episodes that I have yet to edit. They're there. I'm going to find fucking time this week or next to just fucking pile a bunch on. Go subscribe to that Patreon so you can get all that extra fun shit. All right, guys. Have a good night. Oh, that coffee. Woo. Peace. Have a good one.